Hi everybody, I'm going to talk to you today and set you a little activity that helps you get in touch with your saboteur archetype. So basically what that means is that every one of us has a part of our personality that likes to ruin stuff for us, and sometimes we might find that we behave in a certain way that we really wish we didn't, but we can't quite work out why, and we can't quite work out how to stop doing it. And that's what some psychologists think is your saboteur, the part of us that just wants to create havoc. So I think that we can learn a lot from our saboteur. We can learn a lot from the parts of us and the behaviours that we do that sometimes are seen as a little bit negative, but actually I think they're brilliant learning experiences. So I'm going to talk you through a little activity that you can do that will help you subconsciously get in touch with that part of yourself and learn a little bit about yourself, maybe, because that's the best way to change our behaviour. The best way to change our behaviour is to get in touch with the deep rooted part of ourselves that is causing it and heal it, and then the behaviour will just change all on its own without us having to control ourselves in any way. So you can do this activity in a number of ways. I'm just going to say goodbye to Libby. You can do this activity in a number of ways. You can draw a picture. So if you're going to draw a picture, I want you to think about the worst villain that you could ever create. So you're basically going to create a bad guy. And you can draw the villain, you can colour it in, you can make it as, you can bring it to life as much as you want. And then what I want you to do is I want you to think about the villain that you have drawn, and I want you to imagine that you're having a conversation with it, or you could just answer the questions about it. So ask yourself, who is the villain? What is their behaviour like? What kind of things do they do? What kind of things do they say? Where do they live? What's their backstory? So where did they come from? Answer as many questions as you can about your villain, about your saboteur, and then what we're going to do is we are going to make friends with it. We're going to ask it questions to find out as much about it as we can. So you might ask your villain, you might say, why do you do this? And think of the first thing that comes into your mind, because when I do this activity with children and young people, you guys, if you're watching this, the right answers, my phone's slipping again, the right answers are the answers that you don't really have to even think about. They are the first thing that come into your mind, and go with that. It's using your imagination to heal, like we've talked about, like I've talked to you guys about before. And then ask your archetype, your villain, what they need to do to change that behaviour. So what do they need to do to stop basically damaging stuff, or whatever it is your bad guy does, whatever bad stuff they do, what can they do to change that and become maybe a little bit more of a peaceful character? If you are using play to do this activity, just play as you normally would, and what you might find is that you have a recurring, so that means you have the same bad guy over and over again. So whenever I do play with you guys, with young people, often it will be the same character that is continuously the bad guy. And again, just imagine you get your little character in front of you and you ask, why are you doing this? Why are you like this? What do you need to stop, and what do you need to change? And just do it. See if you can help your villain. See if you can help them become good. Sometimes when I've done this with this activity, people will say, no, they can't be good, there's nothing that we can do to help them, and that's okay. And you can leave the activity at that point, just leave it as that's it. At the moment, there's nothing that you subconsciously can do to help your villain. That's okay. At some point maybe you will, but we can deal with that when you feel like facing it. So there's a couple of ways that you can use this this kind of method of getting in touch with your darker side. You can do drawing and you can do play. You can do it with cuddly toys, or you can do it with little role play, little characters, whichever way you want to, basically. And the idea that I want to get across to you guys is that none of us are bad. So sometimes we might do things and say things that aren't ideal and that aren't kind, but that doesn't mean we are bad people. It just means that for some reason we are putting our villain in charge. So when we get to know our villain, when we get to know that part of ourselves that we maybe don't really like, and we can start to treat it kindly, and we can start to ask it questions and find out why it's behaving the way it is, we can learn a little bit about ourselves as well. And we can learn that we are ever changing. So just because you might go through a phase, or you might sometimes do things that you regret, that doesn't mean that that's who you are. You can change at any point you like, and the best way to change is to get in touch with that deeper side of yourself that you can do through drawing and playing and visualization. So if you've done the forest visualizations, you can maybe meet your villain in the forest and just have a little chat with them, and just know that you are always the strongest part of you. So you are always in charge. You're in charge of all of your archetypes, all of your characters, and you can decide how you want them to play out. Okay, I hope that's been useful, and enjoy, and I will catch you guys later. Bye bye.